With the threat of tariffs looming, the agriculture sector is closely watching what a second Trump term could mean for business. It's a sector that's dynamic, used to planning ahead and adapting to changes in weather and fluctuating commodity prices. But for many farmers and ranchers, the possibility of additional levies is difficult to brace for. Agriculture accounts for almost 7% of Canada's GDP, about $150 billion. The beef industry in particular contributes, on average, about $21.8 billion to Canada's total GDP. That industry says they're concerned about how tariffs would impact their supply chain, which is highly integrated between Canada and the U.S. Beef production usually involves several trips back and forth across the border, and tariffs could be applied to almost every trip. Those with a stake in the beef sector have a message for the incoming U.S. president.
I would explain to him that it's not really an American industry and a Canadian industry. It's really just one integrated industry.
The irony here is our initial analysis would suggest there's jobs that are going to be lost in the U.S. because of this. Consumers are going to lose in the U.S. as a result of this. We're going to take over more market share in export markets as a result of this, unfortunately, because of lower prices. So it just tends to be very disruptive. And we've not seen anybody that's really been able to show a tangible benefit by moving forward with this, certainly on the beef and cattle, but pretty much on all of agriculture.
Another commodity that's concerned? Canola. The U.S. is Canada's largest canola customer. I spoke to a canola farmer in Killam, almost 2 hours southeast of Edmonton. He says the potential tariffs could be devastating for the relationship between the two countries, and he's looking at the long-term impacts.
Our family started 112 years ago, and we're still farming. My son is coming into it. So my goal is not to just make as much money out of that land as I can today, because I'm going to discard it tomorrow. My goal is to have my son take it over, my grandson, generations come down the road.
Chevreau fears tariffs could lead to a trade war, jeopardizing the livelihood of farmers across the country. Alberta's agricultural exports to the U.S. were worth $8.9 billion last year alone. But it's not just producers. Consumers will be impacted too. One agricultural economist I spoke to says that she doesn't anticipate tariffs will stick around for very long. That's because while there will be an impact to the Canadian economy, tariffs will also drive inflation in the U.S., increasing grocery prices for American consumers. Lily Dupuis, CBC News, Calgary.